The information provided in this podcast episode is for education and entertainment purposes only and is in no way a replacement for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional and should not be considered or used as clinical or professional consultation. With that said, here is a taste of what you will get in today's episode.
We are often overstimulated, okay? Now, I feel like all of society is overstimulated because there's always something going on. And so all of us can relate to this, but for my moms, sometimes the level of overstimulation, no one really gets that except for us because you don't get it unless you're a mom. And that's no shade. It's just hard to explain. There are always toys going, a person asking you questions and talking, somebody fussing, somebody fighting, somebody crying, somebody needing help. All while you might be multitasking and trying to, cook dinner and help with homework, right? That is ultimate overstimulation. And we just need to have silence sometimes. Sometimes we gotta just be silent.
Now keep listening to today's episode because it is bound to help you bloom into your best self. And of course, thank you so much for listening and supporting my podcast. Enjoy the episode. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Bloom Into Your Best Self. I'm your host, Narissa Harris, a licensed marriage and family therapist. And on this podcast and in my work in general, I am on a mission to help you bloom into your best self. The topics that I cover will be brought to you in a raw, authentic, and unapologetic way. Sometimes I talk about topics from the perspective of my clinical expertise, but more times than not, I am sharing from my personal experiences in life, which will always come from the perspective of a Black woman first. Because listen, I'm a Black woman. So naturally, you are going to get some cultural awareness and sensitivity tips here. But overall on my podcast, you will get some self-help tips, some encouragement, some motivation, some inspiration. Because again, my overall mission is to help you bloom into your best self. With all of that said, let's get into today's episode, which is entitled Bloom Into Your Best Self in 2025. Hey y'all, Happy New Year. How you doing? I hope you are doing really, really well when you are listening to this, whenever you are listening to this. I just hope you are having a good day, a good night. I just hope you're doing good, okay? Listen, let's catch up a little bit before I get deep into this episode because I haven't talked to y'all since last year. I uploaded one of my podcast episodes in November, and I haven't uploaded nothing and talked to y'all since. And I really did and do have a system down now with this new way of recording my podcast. But with the holidays around and all of that stuff, after that November episode, it just wasn't feasible. Okay. But again, I have a plan. I have a system now where I really am going to get back to recording and talking to y'all on a regular basis. But I also thought it would be cute to just give y'all a little bit of an update. I like to do that when I be gone for a little period of time. And just let y'all know what's been going on and catch up real quick. Like I said, before we jump into this episode, I don't know if I told y'all. I think I told y'all, or I might have mentioned it really quickly in passing. But I've been working a little bit more. And so that has taken some getting used to, right? Just a little bit more, nothing crazy, nothing over the top, but it still has been a bit of an adjustment, in conjunction with other things that are happening in my life, right? So my oldest started kindergarten. I know I told y'all that.
But for my new listeners, or for people who might have just clicked on this episode, I got 2 beautiful blessings of joy. One is 5, soon to be 6, and the other one is 3. Okay. And so the oldest started a new school, and she started kindergarten. And so that was a whole thing in and of itself. But my baby transitioned really well. I just knew that she was going to have a hard time because she was leaving her friends that she had since preschool. Child, my baby was like, listen, I am here for this new school. This is what I need in my life. And I'm really glad me and my husband decided to make that switch, because that other school that she was going to, I was like, not my baby. I see how y'all treating Black kids. I see your standard for education, and I'm just not having it. My child is way too smart to be on some mediocre stuff. So I was like, no, and no. But again, she had a really successful transition, but I have been doing that, making sure that she's adjusted. And then because I'm working a little bit more and I'm working outside of the house a little bit more, my baby ended up going to preschool all day, right? And so that was really bittersweet for me as a mom, because y'all know, like, with my own business and working, she has just been in the mix with me. Like, she will be making her little cameo appearance on the podcast. She's around when I'm working on my newsletter, when I'm creating for my convention. She has popped up sometimes in some of my like workshops and things like that, which I am totally fine with. I do not apologize for my baby being around. But because I'm outside the house, I can't be taking my child everywhere with me like that. And so she had to go to preschool all day. So she went from half a day every day to full day every day. And I was like, oh my goodness, because even though my child ate that up. So first of all, let me just be like, thank God that my kids, for the most part, adjust really well, right? The baby, she had me worried when she very, very first started preschool, because she was not feeling it. And it took her like 3 weeks to get adjusted. But once she got adjusted, she has been coasting. And I was worried that she was going to like miss me, and that she was going to have a hard time at nap time, because I'm a little bit of a sleep crutch for her. Me and her, like, sometimes she can't go sleep unless I take a nap with her. So I just knew they was going to call me. It was going to be a problem. Child, they sent me a picture of that girl living her best life after nap, during nap, and she was fine. And so for me, as a mom, it was a moment that was bittersweet, where I was like, dang, my baby is really not becoming a baby no more. She don't need me like that anymore. I mean, she need me, but not to the extent that I think she need me. But at the same time, how beautiful is it to see that she's adjusted, she's well attached, and she's living her best life at her preschool, okay? And so with all of that and adjusting, I'm also getting back to me and myself, right? I had my baby almost 3.5 years ago, and I had my oldest almost 6 years ago. When we factor in pregnancy, for about 7 years, I've been in this mommy, baby mode. And I'm still very much mommy, baby. Don't try me about my kids. And I also am making sure that I am not enmeshed with my kids, right? That they have their own individuality, that they have their own little lives and their little social circle. And because of that, I got to get back to me, because as a mom, I'm seeing kind of like what they're doing, how they're spreading their little baby wings, which are still very wet, and I'm still very close to catch them. But they are in this little stage where they're spreading and developing. And so I have to now get back to spreading and developing for me. And so I had to look at my schedule, see what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to do, enjoy some time to myself, and not always try to be in this mode of productivity and working on stuff and doing newsletters and conventions and proposals and contracts and all of that stuff. And just kind of see, what do I enjoy doing, and getting back to that. And so that has been a little bit of a journey, which has kind of been why my podcast has been a little scattered. But one thing I really enjoy doing, like I always tell y'all, is my podcast. And so now that I have this new platform that I'm recording on, this new system of recording, and just seeing how the editing process goes, I really do have a plan. So with all that said, I am back, like for real, for real. Even though today's episode is being uploaded, not most likely it won't be uploaded on a Wednesday, I'm gonna get back to publishing my episodes on a Wednesday, at the very latest on a Thursday. So you guys can look forward to that. I'm gonna do it every 2 weeks or twice a month. Every other week is the goal, like I used to do. But y'all know, if I disappear, where you can find me. If you want to keep up with me, you can always find me in my newsletter, which is Bloom Into Your Best Self. And speaking of which, are you subscribed? Girl, bruh. Listen, yes, I do have male subscribers, contrary to what people believe. There are men out there that actually care about mothers, okay? Who are married to mothers, who are family members of mothers, who are friends of mothers, okay? What are y'all doing? Again, girl, bruh, if you are not subscribed, I need to know why. My newsletter is free. I'm always there. You get updates. You get good information. Just go to my website, bloomintoyourbestself.com, and sign up for my newsletter, okay? I will see you over there, and welcome in advance. All right. With all of that said, okay, that long intro, that long update, let's jump into today's topic. I'm really, really excited about today's topic, which I'm always excited about every single year. As a reminder, today's episode is called Bloom Into Your Best Self in 2025. This is my 4th year doing this. The first time I recorded an episode for the beginning of the new year was in 2022. And then you all really liked that episode. And so I was like, okay. And then I did it again in 2023. Y'all really liked that episode. Y'all just seem to like these, refreshers, reminders of how to start your new year off. So I said, okay, well, let's get it. We're going to just keep this thing going. So this is the 4th time I've done this. I plan on continuing to do this every single year, right? What I did do this year is I went back and I listened to 2023 and 2024. I just wanted to see what themes I had in there. I didn't want to completely repeat things. I wanted to make sure the ideas that I had for you this year were sort of new. But then I also saw that some things needed to be repeated, because these are things that are just important, that should be ingrained, and that you should be reminded of often, so that we can all just bloom into our best selves, okay? So today I'm going to give you guys 6 tips on how you can bloom into your best self in 2025. I'm going to share the tip, and then I'm going to give you some practical ways on like how you can start putting the tip into practice and really trying to bloom into your best self. You ready? Let's get it, okay? In no particular order, here go the tips. Tip number 1, you need to believe in yourself. Listen, if nobody else believes in you, you better believe in yourself, okay? I don't care. It don't matter what you believe in for. You better believe it with your whole entire heart, okay? Because if you don't believe in you, ain't nobody gonna believe in you. And that's just a fact, right? You can't have people believing in you, pumping you up, being like you can do it, and then you sitting up here doubting yourself and second guessing your moves. Like, that ain't gonna work, okay? Like, that's not gonna work on no level. And so you have to believe in yourself at all costs. All bets are off. It don't matter. Believe in yourself. Y'all know that I like to use myself as an example when I talk on the podcast, not because I'm trying to talk about myself, but because I just like to bring points home with like stories and things like that. And again, 99.9% of the time, I'm the only person on this podcast. This is not really a podcast that have guests. And so that's another reason I kind of use myself as an example. And so one example of believing in yourself and that I have done over the years is I have said that I'm going to be a world-renowned trainer, okay? And I believe it. I believe it, even with my fear of flying and not want to be up in the air and all of that other stuff. Listen, can't nobody tell me I'm not about to be a world-renowned trainer. I've been saying that for years. I said it when I had not near contract to do nobody's training. And since then, about 10 years or so, 10, 11 years later, I might not be a world-renowned trainer yet, okay? But I have done a lot of training, right? And I am working on being a national level trainer. So far, I have done trainings in Detroit. I've done trainings in Arizona. I've done several trainings on the local level out here in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, in Richmond, in Pittsburgh. And that is all because, one, I pray to the Lord, okay? I ain't trying to change nobody. I ain't trying to convert nobody, but for me and myself over here, I believe in God, okay? Whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in that to give you some strength. But I say that to say all of this, my ability to do some trainings in Detroit, Arizona, San Francisco, Richmond, Pittsburgh, and continuing to do some trainings is because I prayed and I believed in myself and my ability. And I'm going to continue to believe in myself and my ability because, one, I love to train. It brings me so much joy. And so I'm going to keep believing for that because I really want to be and am going to be a world-renowned trainer. Notice that I said I'm not a world-renowned trainer yet. Notice I emphasized the yet, right? And that's the first practical tip. You have to talk about like your belief like you believe it. Like you really got to talk about it like you believe it. You need to be mindful of how you are talking about whatever you are believing in yourself for, right? You can't just be half, I don't know, I think I'm going to do this. No, you got to believe it. You got to talk about it as if it is actually so. There is power in the tongue. Life and death is in the tongue. And so you might want to breathe life into whatever you believe in. And then the other tip is you really got to pursue what you are believing for. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later. That's like a small hint to one of the tips, right? But one thing I'll say right now is you have to have action behind your beliefs. Ain't nothing gonna come to you in thin air, right? Like you got to pursue what you believe in for. And so those are the little practical things for tip number 1, for believing in yourself. You got to watch your speech and you got to have some action behind the belief. Tip number 2, stop comparing yourself. Girl, bruh, like stop comparing yourself to other people. You can't believe in yourself if you watching what somebody else is doing. You gonna always fall in the trap of comparison. Like always, right? Stop looking at what other people are doing. Stop comparing yourself to what others are doing. Just stop. Like for real, stop. You gotta remind yourself that you are doing things in the following ways. You're doing things at your own pace. You are doing things for the season that you are in. And you are doing things how you want to do them, right? Sometimes, and here goes our little practical tips. Sometimes, like, we don't need to be on social media as much because social media is this snapshot of people's perfect surroundings, things that work out perfectly, and it just makes everything look like it's flawless. That's why I try so hard when I do post on social media to not make it all perfect and aesthetically pleasing, right? Like I really try to make it as authentic as possible. Now listen, if I'm trying to record like something in general, like the kids doing something, if I got my dirty sock in the picture, I might take the sock out, okay? But if it's toys all over the floor, because I'm recording as a real mom, I'm gonna leave the toys there. Like, for what? Why am I trying to clean up a scene that I'm trying to post and make realistic? Like, dirty sock, we might have to remove that, okay? But toys all over the floor, no, because I'm recording for moms, right? And so I really try to be as authentic as possible, because again, social media is so fake. Oh, y'all know I have a love-hate relationship with social media. It's so fake. And so when you are on there so often, if you are looking at people, you then start naturally comparing yourself. It's just easy to go down a rabbit hole. Listen, I'm talking to myself too, okay? I'm not just on some high and mighty tip. The way social media is structured, all of us fall into that trap, right? And so try not to be on social media as much. And if you are going to be on social media a lot, I encourage you to follow people who are not doing things that you are interested in, because it might be easier for you to not fall into comparison when you are not really following somebody that's doing what you want to do, right? And if that's hard for you, try to limit your time that you on social media. Just limit it, right? If you're going to be on social media scrolling for 30, 45 minutes, try to reduce that at some point to half. You can't go cold turkey and be like, I'm only do 20 minutes today. But if you do 45 minutes, then break it down to 40. If you do get to the 40, then break it down to 30. And then just keep reducing your time and limiting the time that you are on social media, because that is the biggest trap, I think, for us comparing ourselves. The other thing you got to do to stop comparing yourself and to work on that is really recognize how unique you are. When you compare yourself, ultimately, you are not realizing your uniqueness and your greatness, right? Instead, if we just keeping it real, you really kind of trying to be like somebody else, right? You really coveting over what they have and just desiring what they have and what they are doing. And all of that takes away from like you, right? And like what makes you, which is a blessing in and of itself, right? So for this tip, the overall message and the overall takeaway is just stop, right? Stop being on social media so much. Stop ignoring your uniqueness and greatness, and stop trying to follow what others are doing. That's it in a nutshell, child. Tip number 3, I'm trying to run through these a little quick because listen, y'all like these shorter episodes, and I'm trying my best to honor that and just kind of respect what y'all be looking for, right? Tip number 3, take care of your body. Listen, I'm coming down my own lane on this one, okay? Like, I'm coming down my own lane on all of them, but this one, for real, I am like, child, I'm talking to myself and preaching to myself too, while I'm talking and preaching to you as well, okay? Take care of your body. Your body is your temple, literally, right? It's literally our temple. And I know that sounds so cliche. We've heard people say it before. But when you really, really think about it, especially as you start getting older, child, listen, okay? I've been like, wait a minute now. We really only do get one body. And so we might want to treat this body like it matters, because we're not about to get another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not about to get, the body I had when I was in my 20s, child. We creeping up there more and more and more. And so this thing that we walk around in, we need to take care of, because it literally is our temple. And so how you treat your body, it really matters. Taking care of your body can have so many trickle-down effects that can really help you bloom into your best self. Your body is the start to everything. It's how you treat your body affects how you feel, how much energy you have, your immune system, your memory. Like, we can go on and on and on, but all of these things just really affect how well you function. And you cannot bloom into your best self in 2025 if your body is all ran down, drained, tired, and whooped. Okay, like you not about to bloom into your best self doing nothing if you walking around in a body that feel like that. And so some practical tips that I have for taking care of your body is you could start with something just as simple as water. Okay, I don't like water. And sometimes I feel like I shouldn't even say that out loud. But again, this is all about being authentic, being raw, and being unapologetic. And I know there's some folks out there that feel the same way I do about water. I don't like water. I hate water. I don't do water, okay? I prefer anything with flavor. Like, I don't like water. It don't do nothing for me. Maybe it's my personality. It's just plain. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got no excitement. It's just... I don't know. It's just blah, right? And so, I'm somebody, you probably listen to this podcast because, I got some personality. I got a little bit of swag. I got a little bit of feist and fire to me. And so water ain't got none of that, okay? And I still need it, okay? Because it's the key to life. And so for somebody like me that like a little spruce, you can do things like add some berries or something, like infuse your water. One thing that I do when I start getting on my kick of like, girl, you really ain't been drinking no water and you gotta do better, I get the triple berry blend, and I like put it in a pitcher and then I fill the rest up with water and I kind of let it infuse itself overnight, and it straight up tastes like juice the next morning. I'd be really thinking I'm drinking juice and almost be feeling bad because I'm like, girl, you need to be drinking water. And it's like, this is water, right? I'll sometimes also do the tropical blend of frozen fruit. That also ends up tasting like fruit. So if you're somebody that don't like water, try to infuse your water with like some fruits and some berries. Even for those of you who like to play around with a little bit of other stuff, like the cucumber, the lemon, and the mint, that makes a really good kind of like refreshing and light taste to your water. And if you want something that got a little bit more bang, you know what I'm saying, I would suggest infusing it with like those frozen berries and frozen fruits. You can also do pretty cups, right? You know what I'm saying? And if you are a man listening and you're more on the masculine side, you could just do a cool cup, right? You could just have like a nice cup to drink your water from. Add a straw, right? A straw kind of helps. In a way, it kind of, I don't know if this is the right frame, but it kind of, not frame, but right phrase, should I say. But it almost changes like the density of the water, so to speak. It almost puts it in a different form. You know what I'm saying? Like you drinking it through a straw as opposed to like from the brim of the cup. And that changes the taste of the water. Change the temperature of your water, right? Go from just plain room temperature to like really cold water. Talking about changing like the density and kind of like the formation of the water. Add some ice, right? Water on top of water basically with a straw. And now we got all these different dimensions of the water, okay? Or make your water really, really hot and just kind of drink it like that. Those things can help you drink water. Because seriously, if the only thing you do to take care of your body is add water, that in and of itself can really help you bloom into your best self in 2025. And if you're trying to push it, okay, we got some other tips. You can have more fruits and vegetables, right? If you somebody that don't like to eat them like cooked or in a salad, but that is one way that you can get more fruits and vegetables. You can add smoothies to your meals or your breakfast or as a snack. Add in some juicing. I've been juicing really a lot lately. A friend of mine, she got a juicer and she told me which one she got because I was over the reviews and trying to figure out which one to get, and she just sent me one. I'm like, girl, bless your heart. And ever since then, I've been juicing, and I really ironically like green juice. Like I be in here really with the green juice, and it's really nothing in it. It's not like it ends up being sweet because I put a green apple in it, but it has all the other greens in it. It has kale, it has spinach, it has celery, it has cucumber, and then the apple with a little bit of lemon and some ginger. And I be in here living my best life because like I said, I like to drink stuff that got a little bit of kick to it, okay? Got a little personality, and that's a whole bunch of personality wrapped in one with the green juice. But I'm getting my veggies and a little bit of fruit. And so, just keep that in mind. You can have fruit instead of candy. If you're somebody like me with a sweet tooth, you still gotta be careful though with your fruit intake. I mean, we still gotta watch it because fruit still got a little bit of sugar, but it's way better, you know what I'm saying, than the Sour Patch Kid. I'm just saying. Another thing you can do with your body is exercise. Move your body. Don't just sit around. And me as a therapist, me as, a trainer, I also do some clinical supervision. I'm always sitting, right? Sitting. I'm sitting to record this podcast. I'm sitting to write my newsletter. I'm sitting to talk to clients or, interns. I'm just sitting, right? And you got to move your body. You got to get up. You got to walk around. Walking is a really good form of exercise, contrary to what people say. Depending on how hard you walk in, depending on the incline or the decline, that can be a really good workout, right? You can go to the gym and, take a class or use some of the equipment there. You can find videos on YouTube. If you happen to have an Apple device, you can do Apple Fitness Plus. You do have to pay for the subscription, but I do think that constantly they are running the special where you get the first 3 months free. And so you can see if you even like Fitness Plus, but most of the time, if you're an Apple user, most of the time we be using Apple Music or we pay for the Apple storage. So you just get a bundle and do Apple Fitness. Listen, this is not sponsored, but it should be. They can run me my money anytime they want. But I'm just saying that you can do those things. And then for my moms out there, right? Because, I still am very dedicated to the moms, even though this particular episode is for everyone. Y'all, I still got nuggets specifically for you. You can exercise with your kids, right? If you can exercise, I'm over here stuttering because I'm getting excited about this point. You can exercise with your kids, even if they don't realize you are exercising with them. Or if they just want to exercise with you, you can exercise with them, right? You can find a YouTube video and do that with them for exercise. My husband recently started doing yoga on the TV, and the girls get really excited. They want to pick which yoga that they do, but that's still exercise, and we all kind of do it as a family. Or they can just do the exercise videos with you that you find. My girls have done the Fitness Plus with me before. Sometimes my daughter wants to go on a walk with me, my oldest, and so we just do that. And then if they don't necessarily know that you're trying to get exercise in and they just want to play, running with them and playing with them at the park, that is exercise in and of itself. Because Lord knows a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old will want you to chase them and run them down, okay, like you 12 and 13. And it's like, girl, mommy is old, okay? I'm up here running around in circles with you, climbing up on this monkey bar with you. But all of that is working out and it's moving your body. So girls, mamas, listen, you can exercise even if you got them kids. And then the last thing I want to say about taking care of your body is to not forget to take care of your mind. This is really for everyone, right? But I also want to put some special emphasis on here for my mommies. We are often overstimulated, okay? Now, I feel like all of society is overstimulated because there's always something going on. And so all of us can relate to this, but for my moms, sometimes the level of overstimulation, no one really gets that except for us, because you don't get it unless you're a mom. And that's no shade. It's just hard to explain. There are always toys going, a person asking you questions and talking, somebody fussing, somebody fighting, somebody crying, somebody needing help, all while you might be multitasking and trying to, cook dinner and help with homework, right? That is ultimate overstimulation. And we just need to have silence sometimes. Sometimes we gotta just be silent. We gotta just let our brain and our mind rest. If you're somebody that has a hard time just literally sitting in silence because your mind is going to just keep going, try to listen to music with no words, right? And just something soft playing in the background can help a little bit. And you can take a moment to be away from the simulation, right? Have a moment, have your kids be quiet. We're going to have quiet time. We're not talking till the song is over. or we're going to have quiet time. We're not talking until this timer goes off, right? And if you have help, if you have a partner, if you have a family member, if you have friends, have them watch the kids for a little bit and actually get out of the stimulating environment, right? And just take a moment away from the stimulation. Another thing you can do to take care of your mind is to write things down. That can kind of declutter your mind. It can get stuff out of your brain. It's really studies out there that show it's something very different when you write pen to paper, like the old school way, as opposed to digital, right? I know we're in a digital age, and some of y'all might be very digital and prefer digital. And so if that's you, whatever, no shade, but whatever you do, get the things out of your mind onto paper, into your device, right? I prefer paper to pen. It just does something different for me. Maybe I'm just old school like that. And then do mindless activities to rest your mind, right? You could do a word search. It don't take too much to try to find a word. Listen, I'm dating myself, but you can crochet, child. If you somebody that know about that life, crochet or knit, do something with your hands that don't really require mental thought. You can play video games in moderation. I don't know. Listen, I'm not a gamer, but certain games I think are called linear games. So like Mario Brothers, for example. Child, that has been my new thing. And it ain't new. It's just something that, I do and I enjoy. But it's like a linear game. Well, the old school ones are linear, right? We ain't talking about 3D Mario. But the old school ones, it's just like literally going across the screen from start to finish. It's not any 3D, nothing, and it don't take no thought. You just going from start to finish. But you also want to do that in moderation too, because video games is a whole nother situation digitally. But certain games can just ease up your mind and don't take no mental work. So those are some of the things. So a quick takeaway for how to take care of your body for tip number 3 is eat better, move more, and rest your mind. All right, listen, I'm about to take a break. I've been talking for about 35 minutes and I am well over my time, but I'm hoping y'all are enjoying this so far. I got 3 more tips for you all that I'm going to give you after this little break that we take, this little intermission. Y'all know what to do, but since it's been a little bit of time, since it's the new year, in case I got some new listeners, I'm going to let y'all know what we do on this intermission tip, okay? Get you some water, get you a snack, go to the restroom, change your position, get comfortable. But whatever you do, I want you to make sure that you still pay attention. You keep your listening ears on, because I'm about to drop a Black historian that has done a lot for us and society, and you don't want to miss what this Black historian has done, okay? I will be right back.
Dr. James Derham, 1762 to approximately 1805. In the days when many physicians had practical rather than formal training, James Derham rose from the depths of slavery to become the first prominent Black medical practitioner in the United States. At the height of his career, he was one of the nation's foremost specialists in throat disorders. Derham was born a slave on May 1st, 1762 in Philadelphia. While there are no early records of his first owner, his subsequent masters were all doctors who taught him the skills to care for the sick. His first known master was Dr. John Kersley Jr., a Philadelphia doctor who specialized in sore throat ailments. Under Kersley's careful guidance, young James learned how to mix medical formulas and treat patients. After Kersley's anti-war activities led to his imprisonment and death, Derham was purchased by a surgeon of the 16th British Regiment, Dr. George West. Under West, Derham increased his medical knowledge. By the time he was sold to the Scottish physician, Dr. Robert Dove, who lived in New Orleans, Derham had become a highly skilled doctor. If you want to learn more, I encourage you to do your homework so that you can bloom into your best self.
All right, y'all, I am back. Okay, we're going to jump right back in because I'm on a roll. I really, again, like I said, I know I'm over time, but I really hope that you guys are enjoying these tips so far. You know, sometimes when I be gone, my episodes be a little bit longer, but I hope that they are worth the length and that you guys are getting something out of it. I know I'm enjoying it, these little reminders of how to bloom into our best self in 2025. And so, again, I hope you are enjoying it. Let's do our last 3 tips because, you know, I got a total of 6. So let's get into it. Tip number 4, go after your dreams and your goals. Okay. This goes back to tip number 1, which was believing in yourself, and how I talked a little bit about pursuing what you believe in, right? You cannot reach your dreams or goals if you just wish for them to come into existence. Like, we can't wish anything into existence. You have to go after that goal or that dream, okay? And again, with some prayer and action, that for me has been what has helped me to go after my dreams, right? Whatever, again, you believe in, whatever motivates you outside of yourself, I would encourage you to do that. Again, I'm not trying to turn nobody, but I'm also going to keep it very real with what has helped me go after my dreams and my goals. And for me, that has been prayer, and then me taking action. There is a saying in the Bible that faith without works is dead. And so you have to keep your dream alive by going after it. You got to take action, right? One thing you can do to take action toward your goals is write down your goals. Write your action steps down that are going to help you reach your goals. Like, break things down into little action steps. Put some deadlines and some due dates with those action steps. And then after you have your action steps, after you have some deadlines and some due dates for yourself, put those things in plain sight so that you can see them often. For me, I do a little bit of reminders on my phone, but I also just have stuff everywhere. So again, I'm paper to pen. So I do reminders sometimes, but I leave my planner open so that I can see it for the day and what I'm supposed to be doing. I have a wall calendar in my home office that has all my plans on it, my due dates on it. I have a little command center downstairs in our kitchen that has due dates and things and stuff on it. I have to put things in plain sight so that I can see them often. That reminds me of my dreams and my goals and what I am pursuing and what I am working towards and going after. The other thing that you have to do is you got to put yourself out there. You could have all these goals, you could reach all these action steps and all your deadlines in the background, right? Doing it all by yourself. But if don't nobody know anything about what you are doing, what you are pursuing, like, where we go get by ourselves? I know we are in a society that likes to, you know, encourage independence and, you know, being able to sustain yourself. And that's all good and well to an extent. But at some point when you are going after your dreams and your goals, you have to put yourself out there. Be it have an accountability partner, be it share your dreams and your visions with somebody that you really trust that will support you, or be it like literally put yourself out there and see what's going to happen, right? For me, I shared some of my interests for Black maternal and infant health with one of the elders in the Association of Black Psychology in my Bay Area chapter. I shared it with him, and since then, I don't even remember how it started, but he has been really helpful and has encouraged me to keep working towards this goal. He has pushed me to kind of do some things that I wasn't quite sure that I can do. Oh, that's how it happened. Because one time they were talking about a convention and somebody said, you know, the work that you do, Narissa, could be good. And I was like, yeah, that would be cool. But, you know, I got a 10-month-old. I don't know if I'm able to do this. The convention is in 8 months. And he was like, you got 8 whole months to work on this convention. And this is something that you can do and we will help you. And I took him up on that offer, and I ended up presenting for the first time 8 months later. My baby was 18 months, and I presented at the National Convention for the Association of Black Psychologists. And that's because I put myself out there, right? He helped me, he encouraged me. But not only that, in the background, I put myself out there in Detroit, right? Like, people wanted to see what I was working on. People wanted to talk to me about the work that I was doing. I had to put myself out there. And I did it, right? And when you do that and put yourself out there, you got to be confident in what you have to offer when you are sharing it. Even if you are nervous down to the bones, okay? You still better exude confidence in whatever it is that you are going after, whatever your dream is, whatever your goal is. You gotta be confident in it, right? When you put yourself out there. And so those are just some of the little tips for going after your dreams and goals. You got to take action, and you have to put yourself out there. All right. Tip number 5, keep growing. Okay. You cannot bloom into your best self if you are not growing. You can't do nothing. You're not blooming. If you are not growing, you are not blooming, right? You have to keep growing in the direction you are trying to go, right? You will eventually reach your dreams. You will eventually reach your goals. And then what? Will you go stunt your growth? No, you have to keep growing and evolving, right? One of the reasons I started working a little tiny bit more was because I wanted to grow a little bit more, but not the classic way that we all think, like, okay, it's time to, get a little bit more income, or it's time to, boss up in my career. Like, that wasn't necessarily the driving force for me wanting to grow and work a little bit more. More so for me as a mom, I was watching growth happen all around me, right? I was watching my oldest start a new school, start kindergarten, and she's like doing a dual immersion school, so she's learning another language, and so that was pretty cool to see. I was watching my baby like go to preschool all day and then come home and like do things that she's not been able to quite do. She can fully trace her name. She can write some letters by herself without tracing. It was just growth happening all around me, right? I watch my husband, his career is growing. Like, he got his admin credential. He's, now a director, and just like doing all this stuff. And so again, I was like, listen, everybody growing around me. So I felt the need to kind of branch out into something just a little tiny bit different while pursuing the goals, right? I wanted to kind of build my career and enhance my skill set in a little bit of a different way, right? And also continue to grow within my business, right? So it was like this dual thing happening. And so I started working on my article for publication. I started doing more local trainings and workshops, right? And then actually working outside the home. That's the growth for me, right? Is like leaving the home, leaving the place where I do a lot of my creating, where I do a lot of my online workshops, where I do a lot of my online therapy, where I do a lot of my work, right? The growth edge was outside the home, because when I get outside the home, I put myself out there even more. And so that was something that I wanted to do. And so you have to evaluate your circumstances and see if you are growing in the direction you want to go, or are you a little stagnant and sort of stuck where you are? Like, you've grown, you can see the branches, you can see the blooms, but your tree not getting much taller, right? It's a little stunt right now. If you feel stuck, then take some small steps to unstick yourself, right? And again, I'm going to use myself as an example, and then I'm going to give some other little examples. For me, the convention, I could have stayed stuck, right? I did the poster presentation, and I could have stayed there. But no, next year I wanted to do the workshop, right? Where I got the 90 minutes where people signed up to come to my space and hear what I had to say. Like, that was me not being stuck. Like, okay, I created that. That was a big growth to do the poster. And now I'm going to just stay here. No, I want to grow some more. So now I want to do a workshop, right? The next goal is I'm probably going to try to be a keynote speaker at some point. And that's not far-fetched for me, right? I like to do trainings. I have the experience, but I got to grow in that area. I got to do certain things so that when I do become a keynote speaker, I got some stuff in my back pocket to show that I know what I'm talking about, right? And I got to keep growing in that direction. For my mommies listening, if you're a stay-at-home mom, right? Maybe you've been staying at home for a while. You're comfortable in the skin that you're in the house. Maybe one growth for you is to get out a little bit more. Maybe go to a library story time, or maybe venture out and like try to go to the store with that baby and make some light groceries. We ain't trying to do all the grocery shopping for the week, but maybe you need a cucumber or a tomato for your salad. Go on out the house, girl. Take that baby with you. And that's a growth edge for yourself, right? People might not look at that as growth, but listen, from one stay-at-home mom to another, I can tell you that just getting out the house, venturing out a little bit longer, driving a little bit longer, maybe to a different store that's 10, 15 minutes more away, that is growth, right? And then after you get that under your belt, go out by yourself. If you have some help, if you got somebody to watch the baby, girl, you're a stay-at-home mom. It's cool, but also go out by yourself so you can get in touch with yourself. Even if you're talking to somebody in the line while you wait, right? That is another adult that you are communicating with, and it takes you a little bit out of that stay-at-home mom zone. If you're a working mom, listen, I can also relate to that, right? It's the redundant task. All we doing is the same old thing every day. Get up, drop the kids off, go to work, leave work, pick up the kids, come home, do dinner, do bath, do bedtime, get up, do it again. It's so redundant. It's enough to drive anybody crazy. But guess what you could do? You could grow. And then you can do a little bit of something. Find something for you that breaks up those redundant tasks. Maybe you do a yoga class or a kickboxing class, or maybe you do a painting class, or maybe once a month it's like a book club meetup at your library or something like that. Little things like that is growth, and it can break up the redundant task and help you continue to grow into yourself as a woman. And not just as a mom, okay? These are all examples of growth. These are all things that we can do. And so the takeaway for this tip, which is keep growing, is to always evolve, even if it is tiny steps towards the evolution. Listen, that right there is a whole word, okay? That might be a podcast for another day, but that's your takeaway for tip number 5. All right, y'all, listen. We coming down to the wire. We almost done. Y'all ready for the final tip? This is the final tip. Tip number 6. Live in the moment. Live in the moment. We are in such a distracted society. I'd be so over the distractions. We are all distracted all the time. We got the cell phones. We got the TV. We got social media. Listen, we got video games. And I touched on a video game a couple of tips ago, okay? We are overly distracted. And we got to figure out how to work through this, right? It's really hard to live in the moment with all of these distractions in 2025. Like, it is so many distractions in the world. Like, just in the past 20 years. I'm thinking to myself, I don't even remember stuff being like this. Like, what is going on? And with that said, I'm going to repeat something that I said in 2023 when I talked about blooming into yourself, into your best self for that year. I said it then and I'm going to say it again. We need to go back to the 90s. We need to go back to the 90s, right? Listen, some of y'all might cringe, but some of y'all might feel me. I appreciate technology. I appreciate some of the things that it does. It does make some things easier for us. At the same time, it is very distracting. And I just think if we just took a moment and we changed our mindset a little bit and acted like we was in the 90s, we could have a better quality of life. We could really live in the moment, and we could just live our best lives. And so I think it's okay if you are not readily available to people, right? If you want to check out for a minute so that you can actually live in the moment, that is okay. Nothing is going to happen. If you take a couple of minutes, if you put your stuff on Do Not Disturb, if you leave your phone in another space in the house, if you decide to pick up a physical book instead of reading a book on your phone so that you ain't got to deal with all the notifications that come through while you're trying to read, we could just do some things a little differently. And we got to remember that because we have so many distractions, our heads are literally down a lot of the times. We are literally multitasking, trying to text and talk to somebody at the same time, or trying to be in communication with somebody while also trying to put notes or something in our phone for a grocery list, right? If we just take a moment to reduce the distractions, I really think that could help us live in the moment. And we have to remember that when we are in these distractions and when our heads are down, some moments we can never capture again or witness again, right? Not everything in life can be put on pause. And we can't hit rewind on everything either. I know we live in that day and age where, we want to pause, or we want to skip through ads, or we want to rewind if we missed what somebody said on the TV, right? But to live in a moment, we have to realize that we can't do that. In actual life moments, you cannot do that. And so you have to pay attention to your surroundings literally to live in the moment. That's kind of the first practical tip. You gotta pay attention to your surroundings to literally live in the moment, because the moment can be gone and you won't get it back. I'm gonna tell a little quick story and then we're gonna wrap this up, okay? Of living in the moment. And I hope that you guys can relate and it can give you some ideas of what you can do to live in the moment. The other day, yesterday actually, we went to the city. So if y'all not familiar with where I'm at, I live in the Bay Area. And so the city is San Francisco. And so for most of us out here in the Bay Area, it really don't matter where you live. San Francisco, if you kind of in the immediate Bay Area, San Francisco is a 30-minute drive, maybe 45 minutes with light traffic, maybe an hour, right? If it's a lot of traffic. But needless to say, we went to the city. And it was a moment where my oldest wanted to jump on this little pillar thing. It's hard to describe, but it's it was a bunch of pillars in a row. They were big enough where people could sit on them, and short enough where my 5-year-old could climb on top of it and jump off with no problem, and then walk to the next one, climb on top, jump off with no problem, right? The baby wants to do everything that her sister does. But remember, she is 3. So she could climb up there, but jumping off was a little too high for her. And she was just I don't know about this. And so I was I'll hold your hand. And that lightened her day. She lit up when she saw that I would hold her hand so she could jump off by herself, but still have the security of not falling. And it was such a good moment to witness, right? Now, listen, I did take a quick video because I was this moment is just too beautiful to not capture. But it was really quick. And I'm glad it was quick because I really wanted to be in that moment. And if I had stayed in my phone, I would have missed the beauty of the moment because I was able to see my baby's face and how happy she was that I was holding her hand, giving her security, but she also had some independence to jump down. But not only was I able to see her face in that moment, and that moment I realized that there was still a phase of innocence that my girls had that I still was able to witness. And for me, that meant a lot because if you're a mom and you're listening, you know that kids grow up so fast. I feel like I was just pregnant with my baby. And 2 seconds ago, I was just pregnant with my oldest and just changing diapers and just leaving the hospital and just being how is this all going to work? And now they are kind of like, my oldest she's kind of like a kid. Like, she's not a toddler no more. My baby is still a toddler, but she is steadily approaching little kid. And sometimes I have a moment where I'm like, I think like all the innocence is gone and I've missed like those precious moments. But yesterday, that moment was still there because I was in the moment, and I realized again that there was still some innocence in both my kids. And then my daughter, my oldest, turned to me and she said, Mommy, I'm waiting for my sister. Before I get on the next one, I'm waiting for her to jump down and then I'll go to the next one. And it was just a whole moment of beauty, right? That was a moment that I could not pause or rewind, right? I had to watch that moment live. And so I say all of that to say, live in the moment, because once it's gone, it is gone. That is the takeaway for living in the moment. So, with all that said, y'all, listen, this long old episode, with all that said, that's all I got for you today. Those are the 6 tips to blooming into your best self in 2025. A quick recap. Tip number 1, believe in yourself. Number 2, stop comparing yourself. Number 3, take care of your body. Number 4, go after your dreams and your goals. Number 5, keep growing. Number 6, live in the moment. Let me know what you think about today's episode. You can share your thoughts with me by emailing me at narissalmft@gmail.com, or you can connect with me on Instagram at Bloom Into Your Best Self. You can also leave me a review on this podcast. For my Apple listeners, from my podcast page, you can scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on ratings and review, and you can click write a review. For my Spotify listeners, you can rate my podcast by going to the podcast page, clicking on those 3 dots, which is the same drop-down menu where you were able to begin following my show. And once you are there, click on Rate Show. Remember, when you leave a review, it helps other people find my podcast. So ultimately, when you leave a review or a rating, you are really working with me on my mission to help people bloom into their best selves. While we are talking about helping others find my show, listen, I know I said I was done, but I'm going to do this real quick. I think this is the perfect place to put this. I just want you to take a moment, or I want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who listen to my show. At the end of the year, I get the recap and I look at my analytics and it kind of tells me like how the show is doing and all that good stuff. And so I just wanted to share with you all some stats because you really have made this podcast possible. And, then I'm going to really be done. But I feel like since we talk about reviews and the podcast and where to find me and all that good stuff, this is a perfect place to share it. So in 2024, listen, y'all really came through. So thank you. In 2024, I had an increase of listeners by 133%. I had 45% more streams of my podcast. I got 16% more followers. Listeners and followers are 2 different things. Y'all really liked episode 101, which was where I talked about change is good and like how I was having like the struggle with the new platform, but then I flipped it and talked about how like change was important. Y'all really liked that episode, and it was streamed 270% more than most of my other episodes. Y'all really like that episode. So I'm gonna have to really go back and completely listen to it and give y'all a little bit more stuff like that. Listen, I get to know a little bit about y'all. Y'all be hearing about me, but I get to know a little bit about y'all too. So the age of my listeners, listen, we got the 25 to 29 year olds. About 14% of you are listening to this podcast. What's up, youngsters? Listen, I appreciate y'all rocking with me, okay? Because y'all don't always rock with people that got some years and decades on you. So listen, I appreciate my 25 to 29 year olds. 14% of y'all listen. Thank you for listening. And then we got the 35 to 44 year olds. 42% of y'all are listeners. And then the 45 to 54 year olds. 44% of y'all are listeners. What's up to both age brackets? I see you. I appreciate you. Y'all rock with me. I rock with you. The percentage of ages that grew the most, which grew by 50%, was 35 to 44-year-olds. So thank y'all for listening. Also, I got a little peek into what y'all interested in and what y'all like. And so a lot of y'all like some religion and spirituality. And so that was interesting to see. So I'm like, okay, some of y'all, like that stuff. Y'all some believers too. I see you. And some of y'all like R&B as far as your music choices. I am here for the listeners. Like, we got a lot in common. So thank you. All right, listen. I see y'all listeners. I'm here for all of it. I really just want to take a moment to thank you because, again, you are helping me reach more listeners by sharing, by rating, and reviewing my podcast. And I don't want that to go unnoticed. I really, really, really appreciate every single one of you. All right, y'all. Final thing to remember is you can connect with me outside of my podcast. Again, you can email me, you could DM me on IG, or you could just sign up for my monthly newsletter. All the ways that you can connect with me can be found on my website at www.bloomintoyourbestself.com. And until the next time we chat, I am wishing you a new year of prosperity, of joy, of peace, of happiness, of contentment. I just am wishing you the best 2025 ever. And I really, really hope that you do something that will help you bloom into your best self.